The Heritage Association of Northern Colorado presents Perspectives on the Past, a series of personal recollections of Weld County's unique history to explore the influences of the past and to inspire our future. Perspectives on the Past is supported in part by funding from Union Colony Bank. The following program is a tour of the Weld County Courthouse, presented by the Honorable Donald A. Carpenter.
I'm Judge Donald Carpenter and am now retired. I have been acquainted with this building since the first block of stone was delivered from Indiana to the site of this building. I've enjoyed it. I've been proud of it. I have noticed it's rising not as a pile of stone, but as a living edifice. This is the finest building I've ever known. As we approach the building, we're impressed by the size of the stone blocks that went to build the base of this building. As you'll notice, the Indiana limestone is depicted here at the first level of the building proper. The stepways are constructed of granite, and so we have a building then that is not only a magnificent strength as far as base is concerned, but also every detail to the entrance of the building is cared for with fidelity. This Mr. Bowman, the architect of this building, was noted throughout the United States as one of the leading architects of public buildings of his time. Now then, the Indiana limestone blocks were extremely heavy and were all numbered. The position that they were to go into in the construction of the building was made simple by the use of the numbers and the charts showing where each number was to be placed. The columns, of course, it's evident the weight of these columns because of the joinder of the joints of the column are far apart. In every respect, the building and every phase of the building is the utmost good quality, not just of the time that it was built, but into eternity. There's no reason in the world why this shouldn't exist 100 years from now and longer. I think it should be noted the exterior of the building just before we enter. You'll note that the lamps are bronze lamps, although they haven't been cleaned for many, many, many years. They are pure bronze. They were drilled and tapped before they were put into place, so as to assure their quality. Now then, these bronze lamps and like lamps are over every entrance of the courthouse, except the west entrance, which is the entrance facing the jail, and we didn't see any reason for putting them in there. But now then, as you go through the archways here, there's two windows, and the windows are steel casement windows, which were quite unusual in the days that this was built, and then into the doors leading into the building proper. I wish you'd note particularly the strength and the weight of these front doors. These are pure bronze doors and are extraordinarily heavy. But they have not, because of the settling of the building, which there has been no settling, They are not difficult to open and close. There's no binding because of a warping of the foundation or anything of that nature. Now that pertains throughout the whole building. There's been no settling of the building to embarrass the opening and closing of the doors throughout the building. This door leads to a magnificent stairway of Colorado white marble. We are now indoors, having passed through the heavy doors that we just have described, and we see before us a wide expanse of white marble steps. This is the widest area of white marble, Colorado marble steps that I know of in the United States. A beautiful, beautiful expanse of stairway. Originally, it didn't have the brass tubing going up the steps, and later, and during the time that I was judge here, they came in and required us to put it in for the safety of the public. Now we turn around and examine the east side of the interior of the building. And you'll note there the beautiful carving around the clock, the beautiful arrangement, if you please, of palisade. The entire thing is a thing of extraordinary beauty. Now these decorations at the base of the clock here, just underneath the ledge at the top of the wall there, those are not sandblasted into the stone as we do today, and that's also true with the stonework around the clock. Those were all hand carved. I wish to point up the capitals at the top of the columns at the head of the stairs here that we've just viewed. The artistry of the plasterwork was done on the job and put into place. Now then, today that's no longer an art that is practiced at all. When we wanted to repair one, we had to send it, a model of it, to Denver and get it cast and then brought back and put into place, because none of the modern mechanics could accomplish it. Projecting out of the columns of marble at the head of the stairs, and you'll see them throughout the building in numerous places, are the ends of the old gas pipes. The first plush lights of this area were gas lights. The electric lights bulbs were then the old tungsten light bulbs that gave out a kind of a yellow dim light. But the bright lights were accomplished by the use of the gas lights. Now, by the way, the gas was manufactured in Greeley, and it was made by the importation of coal, and the gas was distilled off the coal and put into the gas mains of Greeley. We're now in an enclosure that's just outside of what was originally the commissioner's office. And here is the most interesting clock in the world as far as I am concerned. This clock is the timekeeping instrument of all the clocks in the building. And the way it does change the minute hand and the hour hand throughout the day is by way of a bellows. the bellows is right here, and you'll note when the hand comes down showing the passage of a minute of time, that bellows will close, which forces air throughout the building to the other clocks and causes them to change the designation of the minutes. This is an example of the use of rooms that have been converted from another purpose in the original courthouse into the use as a courtroom. Please note the dignity of the arrangement of the courtroom, the perfection of the bench, if you please, showing the big ball with the little balls around it, depicting the universal law being over man-made law, and the care taken to make comfortable seats for the jury during the trial of cases. Throughout the building, a great deal of care was taken by the new users of the building, shall we say new in the recent years, to cause it to be so used as to lend greater dignity to the entire courthouse. Please note this bronze plaque put here on the wall that shows the amount of money expended for this building and its furnishing. The $302.05 that was spent bringing it up to usable condition. The present value of the brass and bronze in the building exceeds the total amount depicted here by itself. In leaving the second floor rotunda, we note here going up the stairway, and you'll notice it all the way up the stairway throughout until the fourth floor. The banisters are by bronze, extraordinarily heavy, well designed and beautifully placed bronze. Then at the head of the first rise of steps, we see the stained glass windows. Now these are particularly beautiful in the afternoon, where this is morning, but in the afternoon the sunlight shining on those beautiful leaves is a thing to behold. We're now on the third floor of the courthouse and standing directly before the door to the clerk's office of the district court. I wish again to notice the ornate plaster that was cast on the job and put into place on the job. That's no longer possible to be done with the present mechanics that are building buildings. Throughout this building, I want you to notice that it isn't the sterile architecture of the past, but this is true artistry, the best that they could do and find at the time this building was constructed. I wish to point it up at this time, the shell of St. James in the artistry above the door. That is one of the earliest Christian symbols and blesses the area over which it presides. The doors, of course, are the metal doors, and the door frames are metal. Now, to each of these two windows here have as their exterior decoration the doors of the first elevator to the building, and it had to be removed because it fell a couple of times, and we felt it was unduly dangerous. And but those were converted from the doors of the elevator. We think they're beautiful. This is the third floor district courtroom. It was built for the district court at the time the building was put together, and everything in it is as the original district court room was at the time, with the few exceptions.
Okay.
You'll notice the benches made of that dark red mahogany, popular in the era that this building was built. And so you'll see the red mahogany carried forward in all the furniture and even on the audience benches at the original building of the building. Now you'll see a carpet on the floor, and originally the floor of the courtroom was comprised of cork, and the cork floor was so abused because it was improperly used that we had to cover it. Now we're looking toward the entrance door to the courtroom on the third floor, and you'll notice the plaster telltale here. The ornamentation over the door shows you coming in under the influence of, at the highest point, the shell of St. James, and then the Book of Laws, and behind the Book of Laws is the Torch of Liberty, and beneath and encompassing the Court of Laws is justice. From that flows the cornucopia, showing the fruitful life of those coming under the influence of the Book of Laws.
Okay.
Around the clock, you'll see just mere ornamentation primarily, with the exception, of course, the wreath of justice surrounding the clock. Now I suggest that we proceed to the fourth floor courtroom, and there you'll see the most magnificent courtroom I've ever seen. This is the fourth floor courtroom. As you'll notice, the wainscoting is Colorado white marble, engraved by hand, as the other marble in this building has been so engraved. This was originally an emergency courtroom, so you don't see any of the influence of a judge over the design of the courtroom. The other courtrooms, the third floor courtrooms, had a judge that was more or less instrumental in what went into the courtroom and the general design of the courtroom. But this courtroom was designed only by the architect, Mr. Bowman. Here you'll see him carry forward in the ornamentation and in all phases of the courtroom, his extraordinary expertise in design and construction. Whereas now our architecture is sterile, here you see it depicting many things. For instance, the big ball above me and the little balls around it designates this room as dominated by the universe, that being a depiction of the universe, and universal law being above man-made law, I representing man-made law. Then, as you sit here, and as I sat here over a number of years, I saw those ugly, hawk-like creatures around the clock, and wondered time and time again what in the world got into him to use those symbols in ornamentation. But those are the symbols from the Assyrio-Babylonian days, which denotes the evil in man, discord in families, the criminal instincts in man. All evil things of mankind are depicted by the those symbols. And of course, at the top is the shell of St. James, blessing that area. And then the wreath around the clock is justice. So the court is constantly confronted with the effects of the evil symbol, and his time is spent bringing it to justice. That's the story around the clock. I think it's quite remarkable. You don't see that anymore. Above you, when you came into the courtroom, was the goddess of justice. And in her forehead is the jewel showing she has the power of judgment. And she is about to reach judgment using the scales of justice as her means of arriving at her decision. And from her flow the fruits of mankind. And at the base of the ornamentation are two palm leaves showing a peaceful and orderly society. Because of the dignity of this room and the importance of this room, I had a carpet woven specifically for this room. And in it you'll see woven in the state seal. And the cost was extraordinary at the time, and it's been on the floor now for 20 years, and you won't see any signs of wear, of course, because of its very close weave. And everything, the furniture in the area of the audience is all new, of course, and the furniture in all the rest of the furniture is new. It isn't old. Now this is going to be, and it's my hope it'll always continue to be, the courtroom of the Chief Judge of the Judicial District. It's to me the greatest building I've ever been in, and I've served in many of the buildings in Washington, D.C., and I know whereof I speak. This is the finest building I've ever known. And I just hope that as the generations go on, that they will feel the pride in its existence as I do. And they will love the detail and the perfection that is depicted here in this one spot of Colorado.
The preceding program was made possible by a grant from the Weld County Bar Association